Hey guys, it's Ryan with My Listing Club. In this video, we are continuing on with the educational series, How to Build an Online Business with My Listing. In this video, we're going to be covering edge caching. Also, you can think of this as your CDN, Content Delivery Network. And we'll also be covering server level caching. Okay. Before that, a little bit of housekeeping. As we've done throughout this series, we've used the My Listing project template as our guide. And you can get your hands on this template or see what it's all about by going to the MyListing Club website, mylisting.club, scrolling down the homepage just a bit and clicking on the MyListing project template card. This is going to walk you through what this is all about. There's even a video that you can check out where I walk through everything. And then at the very bottom of the page, we have a change log where I'm constantly updating, keeping people aware of what I'm updating on within the template. Okay, you can click the buy now button to purchase this as a one-off product. If you are purchasing a starter site, I will give you a copy of the latest version. If you are on the website Care with me, I can give you a copy anytime you would like. Yeah, so there's various different ways that you can get your hands on the template. Oh yeah, also if you're an Ultimate member, you get this template on a I think 50% discount. So those are the ways you can get it. Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into the template itself. Real quickly before we do that, up under the menu on the club website, if you go to the Start Here menu item and scroll down just a bit, you're also going to find a section up here towards the top, Build an Online Business Using the MyListing Theme, Guide and Video Series. So this is going to give you links to this big guide. It's basically the written version of this video series. Okay, so if you click on that, it's this massive guide. Check that out. And then of course this video series link is going to take you to the YouTube channel where all the videos are. Okay, here we are looking at the template. It's built in Asana. You can do this with the free version. That's what I use, so you don't need to pay for it necessarily. We were working for a long time in the My Listing column. There was just a lot to cover. I think I've covered it enough. If there are things in the My Listing area side of things, there's always going to be new stuff that comes out. But if there's something that comes up that I missed, you can let me know. Or if I think of it myself, I can just inject a video into this series and rearrange the numbers. So it's not a big deal, but I wanted to move on because I was having to think too much about what else to put as far as a My Listing specific video as far as the theme goes. So I thought I would just move on to the performance column. So that's where we are now. I've moved edge caching CDN to the top and then server level caching right below that, because how I like to work with image optimization, website optimization in general, is I like to start at the edge first, because that's typically where you are setting up your infrastructure to start with, or at least I do, and then I work my way in. So it starts at the edge caching, edge with the CDN. That's where the edge caching happens, and then as you work inward, the next layer is the server. So that's where server caching would take place. You basically just look at it as like an onion. You just peel back all the layers. The most external layer, if you use one, is going to be your CDN. And then once you peel that layer of the onion back, you then have the server level. Okay. This video is going to cover those two layers. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move this to my other screen. Okay. So for this, we're also going to go ahead and create a site again together on Kinsta. It plays an integral role in everything that I'm about to talk about here. Okay. There's other hosting out there that does similar things. It's just, as I say over and over again, Kinsta is what I use. It's what I use for client sites. It's what I know best, and it's all that I use anymore. So that's what I'm able to really help educate people on is Kinsta, because that's what I know the best. Okay, so here I am in the Kinsta account. This is a demo account that I created. There's no websites on it whatsoever, so we're just going to create a dummy account here. So create new site, install WordPress. We'll give it a name. We'll just call it demo. We can't do that because let's do My Listing. Try that. Data center, I'm just going to pick, this is actually important to bring up. So with edge caching, you always hope that edge caching, your CDN, if you're going to use it, which 1000% you should these days. There's always an argument. I'm only serving a local region. I don't need to serve data across the world, so I don't need a CDN. That's no longer the case. CDNs offer a lot more value and features than they used to. Okay, so definitely put a CDN in front of your website and don't even think about it, in my opinion. Okay, but so we have all these data centers that we can choose from. There are times when your edge caching, your CDN, for whatever reason, doesn't have a cached version of one of your assets. So whether it's your HTML, your CSS, an image, whatever it is, and in that case, the client, the customer is not going to be, the user of your website is not going to get a cached version at the edge, which is the most optimal way to serve your assets. So what happens if they sneak past the CDN, the next layer up is the server. So that's with server level caching. Hopefully your server has cached that particular asset and can serve it to the user to take the load off of your server itself and deliver that asset faster. So there's those two levels. So I bring this up here because when you choose the data center location, that becomes important. So South Carolina, US East 1, I'm going to choose that because that's closest to me. Now, I serve a global audience, so this step becomes less of an issue. However, I'm choosing the one closest to me because I'm the one working on my server. Why not place it as close to me as possible? So it's as fast to me as possible. Okay. But if, let's say you weren't using a CDN, you decided to, for whatever reason, not to, and you were serving, like, let's say the center, let's say you were serving the entire United States. You'd want to pick a data center that's in the middle. So regardless of whether they're in the middle of the US, they're on the East Coast, or they're on the West Coast, it's more like West Coast and East Coast, then they're going to have that server right in the middle of them. So that distance is shortened between the user of your website and where that data lives. Obviously, those that are in the center of the US, they're going to get that data even faster because that's where the server is. Okay, so that's my methodologies for choosing the data center. But again, if you have the CDN in place, this becomes less of an issue. But definitely place, first and foremost, choose the data center for your server that's closest to your audience. If it doesn't matter in your particular case, choose the one that's closest to you or whoever it is that works on your website the most. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and do this. A new development with Kinsta is their edge caching, which we're going to talk about. You see this green check mark here that is enabled by default now, and the CDN that also is enabled by default. These are newer developments as Kinsta tightens their integration with Cloudflare. So it's getting tighter and tighter. They're blurring the lines between what they're offering and the Cloudflare's enterprise level features. So they're blurring the lines. They're basically bringing in Cloudflare's enterprise level features into Kinsta account holders, basically. Okay, so really cool stuff. You're getting expensive features that are in the enterprise Cloudflare plan. You're getting those now for free as part of Kinsta. So in my opinion, it just makes it really a no-brainer to sign up for Kinsta through the club. If you don't want to go through the club, even if you get Kinsta on your own, it's still a no-brainer in my opinion. Okay, enough jabbering. Let's go ahead and click continue to get this website created. Let's call it MyListing. Just going to create my user account here. Yep, set a password. Okay, choose your language that you desire, whatever. Install those plugins if you want to. I'm just going to click continue here. This should spin up pretty quickly here. Let me see if I can talk about anything else while that's happening. All right, so looking at the edge caching topic again, as I said, I approach it from the outside in, optimizing at the edge, working my way down to the most granular level, which typically ends at the plugin level. I'll talk about this in another video, I think, but I'll touch on it here. If you are on Kinsta, you do not need a caching plugin. So like WP Rocket or anything like that, you don't need that anymore. As far as caching goes, if there's a feature in one of these do it all for you caching plugins that you want, then that's maybe a different story. But as far as caching goes, you do not need a caching plugin when you're on Kinsta. My stack that I use and for all my clients is Cloudflare, Kinsta, and Perf Matters. That's it for optimization, unless an image optimization plugin is needed. Those would be the 4. Okay. So edge caching is the storing of website assets on a network separate from your website. So that's important. It keeps you're doing all the heavy lifting at Cloudflare. So it keeps those resources freed up on your server infrastructure. So that's really important. What else? Getting this edge caching feature from Cloudflare would normally be expensive. So that cost is now going away with Kinsta. If you're not going to go with Kinsta, then I recommend at a minimum sign up for a free Cloudflare plan. That's going to give you edge caching, like a watered down version. What I mean by that is the edge caching you get through Kinsta and Cloudflare's Enterprise also caches the HTML of your page, which is awesome. Typically you're only able to do that if you purchased the Enterprise version or the Pro version, or you purchased Cloudflare APO service, which was $5 a month. Okay, so that is now built into Kinsta's edge caching. So you want to use either Kinsta's edge caching or Cloudflare's APO. You can't use them both at the same time because they are the same thing. They will conflict, but you don't need Cloudflare's APO service anymore. You don't need to pay for it anymore if you're on Kinsta. What else? Yeah, so that's it. That's the only levels of caching that I recommend and that I use for myself and all my clients is edge caching and server level caching. No plugins, okay? There's a guide on the MyListing Club website for setting up Cloudflare. I just updated it just the other day, so it's fresh. And there's also a video for Cloudflare and Kinsta. Okay. All right. So that's done spinning up. Perfect timing. Let's click on Manage Domains here. We don't need to do anything with domains because I just want to show you this from the back end. So we don't need to get into all the setup and the front end stuff. Okay. So out of the box here we have the CDN. This is all enabled by default. There's nothing that you need to do here to set this up. There's other things in here I'm going to get to in another video because the main thing here is the edge caching. Okay, so CDN is active. That's going through Cloudflare, but then there's this edge caching piece. Okay, that is enabled by default. You're going to see this mobile cache option. You do not need that because MyListing websites are they're mobile friendly. They're built to look good on mobile. This you would want to enable if you had a theme or something that just wasn't mobile friendly. That's basically the way I can put it. Easiest way I can put it. Okay, so that's really it. That's really all that you need to configure for this. It's done for you out of the box. One special thing to mention here is when you go to clear your caching, it's reverse. So I do it in reverse order to clear it. So we all use Elementor. So the first thing is if you need to clear caching across the board, you first want to regenerate your cache using Elementor's tool. It's built in. Run that. If you use Perf Matters and you use the unused CSS option, you would clear that next. Next up is the server level. So when I work outside in for the optimization, when you clear the cache, you go the reverse order. So like I said, use the Elementor tool in Perf Matters, use the remove unused CSS if you use that feature. Then you're going to clear all levels of your server level caching. On your website, once you have this in place that I just showed you here, you're going to see it in your menu. Actually, you know what? Let's just go there. Sorry if you hear snoring. I apologize. That is my dog. Yeah, instead of just talking about it, let me show you here. So this is this new site we spun up. You can get to it over here in the far left. There's this Kinsta cache menu item, so you can get into it in there. There's also an option at the top here. You'll see this clear caches menu item in the top right. You can click this clear all caches. So once in there, clear all caches, that's going to clear all levels of your Kinsta caching, okay? It's a bit confusing, but when you think of this, it's the Kinsta side. That's the easiest way to think about it, okay? This does not clear Cloudflare's cache, okay? There are two ways to clear that. Let me go back to the order again. If you need to clear caching across your entire infrastructure, Elementor tools, use the Elementor tool. If you use Perf Matters, unused CSS, clear there next. Your next item up is here in Kinsta. Clear all caches here. Your next layer up is the CDN. That's your final place where you clear it, okay? So again, clearing your cache here from this Kinsta stuff does not clear your CDN. For that, you can go back to your Kinsta dashboard and go to CDN and click the clear CDN cache there. You can also go just have your Cloudflare account open and clear it from there. I typically have Cloudflare and Kinsta open all day, every day, just because I manage so many sites. But so I understand it's kind of annoying that you'd have to go to those places to clear the CDN. But honestly, you shouldn't have to clear your CDN that often. You want to keep honestly all of your caches intact for as long as possible. But let's say you do some kind of a major redesign and you need to just clear that cache from every level. These are the steps that you would need to take. Okay. The final piece here is the server level caching. So basically, this is, again, if for some reason your users aren't served a cached asset at the edge through Cloudflare, through edge caching, they sneak through to your server. You want to be able to serve them the cached asset, hopefully from your server then. Okay, and that's where server level caching comes in, and that is enabled by default with Kinsta as well. So if we look at tools here, we see this site cache enabled by default. You can adjust this if you want, change the expiration. So as this says here, basically, if your content doesn't change that often, change this up to 7 days. If your content's dynamic, this doesn't apply to content that's dynamic. Like with MyListing websites, a lot of the content's dynamic. The Explorer pages, cart, checkout, things of that nature. But everything else that can be cached, this impacts that. The longer you set this out, the better your performance is going to be. So I typically just like to set this out to 7 days and roll with that. And I don't think I've ever had any issues there. So, but again, server level caching and CDN and edge caching, it's all now enabled by default. So there's nothing you need to do. If you are on a website care plan with me, I will take care of all of this for you. Yeah, I think that's all that needs to be said here for this. But really exciting features. By doing it this way, not having to install that plugin, an extra caching plugin, you just reduce the chances for conflicts, slowing down your site potentially, just that added plugin and all the things that sometimes those plugins can do. Yeah, and just the management and the paying for that plugin and all that. This is just a really awesome thing. It's going to save everybody a ton of money, a ton of headaches, speed up your site, all those good things. I've got a Kinsta guide on the club website, Cloudflare guide, Cloudflare and Kinsta video walkthrough. I've got a link where you can purchase Kinsta direct if you want to support what I'm doing. It's an affiliate link that would be appreciated. Or better yet, just jump on the club's Kinsta hosting plan and save money and get all these enterprise features. All right, thank you all for listening. Please subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.